This is Comic Geek Speak, episode 1910. Everything old is old again.
It's been a while, you know?
Yeah, it has been. Let's catch
For
up.
some of you,
That's true. Let's catch up. Old Geek Speak. Who's falling apart? Anybody?
I threw my back out a couple weeks ago, and it still hurts. This is the longest it's ever been.
Ever since I had my shoulder spasm, my neck is killing me.
I threw my back out, turning around to get a paper towel.
Yeah.
yes, I saw that. Nice.
Doesn't that suck? I hurt when I wake up from sleeping, which is supposed to be restful and comfortable.
Yeah, no, sleeping
Yep.
sucks.
Yeah, I'm
The worst.
sore. Something's out of whack. Yeah.
Mhm. I janked up my elbow. I can't lift any. If I hold like my water bottle, it hurts.
I'm actually doing all right.
Yep.
I got a clean bill of health from my last doctor visit. All my numbers were good. Blood pressure's down. Cholesterol is good. Weight's down. I'm good to go.
Good.
Nice. Good for you.
God, you're the best of the bunch right now.
Well, I mean, I'm not as bad as I was, but I'm nowhere near good, you know.
Well, I'm sure Adam's got what, 10 years below. No, how
Yeah.
much younger are you? Yeah.
About that, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I pulled my annual upper leg muscle last week while running in the mornings. Matt and I are supposed to be doing a half marathon in October, so I better
Ah.
get over that in a hurry.
I thought you were going to go fit as a fiddle. Da, da, da.
I can jump over the blue skies above, but as fiddle and ready for love.
My doctor's yelling at me because I haven't been, I hate the whole like, oh, you have to be here like every 6 months, like for what? I'm not at that age just yet, so can I go just once and like show up, 2 years later? And because, I have medicine that I make them refill for me, even
Yep.
though they're like, come in. And I'm like, you're not going to stop the medicine, right? It's heart medicine. You're not going to stop it, right? What are you going to do? Let me die,
Yeah.
or whatever. So they're always yelling at me to come in. You got to come in. I'm like, yeah. Give me 3 months. I'll be there.
Yeah, it's been just over a year since I've been at the doctor for anything. And I made an appointment for August, and then they called me and like, yeah, the doctor's going to be on vacation. Can we do October? I'm like, all right, fine. I was trying to get in early in case I had to get shit done the rest of the year, but sure, October's fine.
Right. Yeah. See, when you call them, it's, come visit us in 2032,
Right, yeah.
I tried to make an appointment for a physical back in January, and they scheduled me for 2 weeks from now.
Jeez.
Yeah. It's crazy.
Gotta get myself colon screened. I do have a history of colon cancer, or a family history, I should say.
That's fun.
I'm due. I hit 50 last year and didn't get there, but yeah, I'm due at 50. I had one years ago, but
Yeah, I was going to say they changed it on it. They're like, oh no,
Yeah, they
now it's
did.
45. They retconned it, right?
Yep.
Like in comic books. They say,
I'm like,
no.
last year I was fine. What happened? I was within tat.
I have one on this calendar somewhere. I think they put me on a calendar, and then it was like the day before, and they're like, "Make sure you're doing this," and I'm like, I don't know what the hell you're talking about. I have things to do tomorrow. You're gonna have to reschedule." That was like a month and a half ago.
Did you put
I
the
don't
little?
even know.
Did you put the little poop emoji on your calendar?
I don't even know what it is. I have to look at like every day because I have no idea what it is.
And that's our colon geek speak episode segment.
Well,
for
and
this
it's just
episode.
like that. So I'm
Rich
sitting
in
here
fiber.
with my arms kind of crossed, and I laugh a little bit, and something pulls in my shoulder, and I feel it go across my back. I'm like, what the hell? I'm just sitting here.
Better get your will made out.
Yeah, that's already done.
Oh, the days to go back.
20 years.
Yeah, right.
I was thinking about that just before logging in. I don't know what hit me in the head to think of it, but the days when we used to get together at my house, Peter's house, Brian's, whatever it was for a game night, way back when my kids were like knee high to a grasshopper or not even born yet, and we're sitting there eating boxes of Oreos, bags of Swedish fish, all
The
kinds of crap,
M&Ms.
M&Ms, peanut M&Ms,
Oh,
all kinds
I
of
still
stuff.
eat all that stuff.
I
Not
eat a
all
little
stuff.
bit.
Well, I need to get game nights back on the schedule. I'm dying for a game night. So, I mean, we'll have one in a few weeks down at the Stone Harbor, but we'll have discussions about future ones when we're down there. I got to get something. I got to get a house every now and then. Although now my house is clean, I could host. I'm just saying.
You could.
I could.
Is that just a way to get us to help you again?
Well, I mean, I wouldn't turn down any help, but now to have the rest of you guys here again, a big thank you for the great comics organizing. All the comics that were downstairs are now alphabetized.
Nice.
And
Sweet.
for those of you who didn't listen to the last episode, you three in particular,
No, I did.
I made a bit of a mistake. I thought half my collection was down there. It was more like 2/3 were done. So we went through about 16,000 comics.
Nice.
Yes.
Good afternoon's work.
Yeah. So since then, I've been bringing down some other boxes. So my hallway is now a little clear. So again, the work continues.
That's cool.
But I wouldn't have got anywhere without your guys' start helping me out. So appreciate it again.
Oh, that was fun.
Is the house leaning another way? Like, is it like settling the other opposite way?
No, it's all. But again, there is a little bit more room in the hallway for now, and there'll be more room in my room eventually when these boxes, eventually make their way downstairs.
I was talking to somebody when I posted on Facebook about how I threw out my back. One of the people that commented, I'm assuming is a longtime CGS listener, and I'm pulling up the name here. Paul Stevens.
Oh yes.
Oh yeah,
Boy.
yeah.
Oh, sure.
Yeah, over in the UK.
Yeah. And he says he just strained his back because he's going through to index his collection. He says, I'm 13,000 in and a long way to finish. I was
he's got about 70,000 comics, I believe he posted. Yes.
God.
Holy cow.
Yeah.
A lot of books.
That's
I'm
a lot
freaking
of
out that I have a pile on the floor that's not normally there.
Like I've said before, whenever I think my geekdom is strong, other people's geek foo is way.
Yeah. Way strong.
I mean, at least he hurt his back doing something nerdy, like
Yeah.
lifting his comic boxes. Like I was taking apart my bed at Pensick. For anyone who doesn't know, Pensick is the world's largest gathering of medieval reenactor people. It happens in Pennsylvania. I do for 2 weeks a year. And my tent is all like super swag. I have this big ass canvas tent. And so this year I built the bed, so I'm off the ground, and I was taking that apart 2 days before we left, and I hurt my back. And so then other people had to help me do everything because like I could barely stand up straight, let alone lift anything. Like, it was the worst it's ever been. I was in agony. And luckily I had friends who were able to, help me take my tent down and pack it up and everything because I couldn't do it. And the kids had to do so much work that they were not happy with.
And you don't turn next year, you turn 50 next year, Brian, is that right?
Yeah, next year. Yeah.
So you're still young in him. Okay.
Way to bring it up. You see how it took him that long to answer? He's like, don't bring that up.
He's doing the math in his head. Wait a minute.
Wait, so you were at Pensick. Did they help you? Did they pull out the leeches? Did they start trying to give you old school medicine?
No, it was like teardown day, so everyone's out of there. Everyone that part of it is over, right? Everyone's just back to normal stuff, right?
It's either that or they just shoot you, at that point.
Yeah. Well, we can't fix them. Drag them out back.
Set you up on the archery range.
Oh, jeez. Moving target, right? Spin you around.
Yes.
I couldn't move, so it was a very easy target.
Oh. And we lost people, right? Pee Wee Herman, Bob Barker, Arlene Sorkin, the voice of Harley Quinn, right? Is anybody sad about all this?
I am. I have a harder and harder, not that it's unexpected, but it is just sad that more and more of my childhood and young adulthood is fading away. I mean, man, the big thing to do on a sick day from school is watch Price is Right with Bob Barker.
Bob Barker was an early hero of mine.
Yeah, mainstay.
But it was, I mean, the thing that somebody posted that he got as close to 100 without going over a spot. I mean, that's pretty funny. Right? You gotta take
I didn't even think of that. Oh my God, that's funny. He got close.
I mean, he was, 99. So, okay.
Yeah, he would have been 100 in December.
Right. But, Pee Wee Herman, Paul Rubens,
Yeah,
Arlene Sorkin,
What do we know what Paul Rubens died of? Did they say, or was
cancer? He'd been struggling with it for about 6 years.
I didn't know. Okay.
God. Horrible.
It is going to be weird to think like, there's so many. I mean, there's certainly still many, many people still alive that I grew up with, that we grew up with, but those, I mean, now we got
keep going.
2 from the Batman animated series, Kevin Conroy and Arlene, so, and that's not even
the villains that have already passed away.
Yeah.
Rodney McDowell for one.
Yeah. But I mean, we don't even think like that's still early 90s, right? Like, okay, 70s, 80s, who are those people? I mean, some of it from tragic stuff, some of it just from age, some of it from some whatever, but it's like all our geek heroes and,
Yep.
Like anybody watch Indiana Jones, the newest one?
Not yet.
I did.
Not yet.
I went and saw it.
Should be Saturday, hopefully. So.
Yep.
Adam, you saw it. I'm not going to talk about it, but
yeah, it was like a month and a half ago. I barely remember it at this point, but yeah.
I just mean seeing Harrison Ford.
Yeah, which was a little sad. It's like I was veering crazily from the cool action sequence here, and then Harrison Ford is so old.
But
there's a lot more driving in this one versus running.
Yeah, it's like they're all everybody, all our heroes are getting old. Yeah. Getting old. I don't know if I want to see do I want to see Sylvester Stallone break out another Rambo or I don't want to see the new action stars, I don't want to see grandpas jumping around and stuff like that. That's not what made them cool back then. We knew they were old, but not old. They were just older, not old, So it's like.
Well, and then if I start looking up ages or like IMDb for something, and I'm like, oh God, I'm older than they were when they made that, and they seemed so old when whatever was made was made.
Oh yeah, there's a lot of that when you look at, especially from the 70s and 80s, like people just looked older than we look now.
Yep.
And it's like, oh my God, like that. Like Wilford Brimley was only 48 when he was in Cocoon or something, and you're like, how is that possible? What? Or maybe he was 54, but it was like he looked like he was 80, and he was only in his mid 50s, and it's like, how?
I don't think me and my friends look that bad. We're not. I am gray, but not like that. Holy cow!
Yeah, no. Well, that's just modern health and just fashion and everything. Like everybody tends to look a little younger than they used to.
I'll take it.
Yeah, I know.
I'll take it.
I'm quite pleased with that part of it. Thank you.
You do look quite younger, Shane, with your facial hair going.
Yeah. Well, it's so gray now. Any part of the beard. Yeah. There was
I don't know what you're talking about.
There was a guy at work the other day. Somehow we got talking about ages, and I said, "Well, yeah, I just hit 51." He looked at me and he goes, "Wait, what?" And I said, "Well, yeah, I'm 51." He's like, "I thought you were 38." I'm like, "Oh." You can keep doing that all day long. Think as much as you want that I'm in my 30s yet. Go for it. Holy cow. That's long gone.
Wait, so Brian, have you seen any movies? Have you seen Barbie? Did you see Oppenheimer?
No, nothing.
No?
Yeah. I mean, I really want to see Oppenheimer. Yeah.
Yeah.
I saw, what was it? What started the season? There were 2 or 3 right in a row. I saw Indiana Jones. I did watch the Transformers once it hit Paramount Plus.
I still haven't seen that.
The heck was before that?
Guardians?
I did see Guardians.
Flash.
Saw Flash. Saw Blue
Flash
Beetle.
is on HBO now, so I can watch that now, but I just haven't at the time. I did watch Guard, then I totally fell asleep, so I have to watch the whole thing again because I basically fell asleep for like 2/3 of it, and I have no idea what happens. But it's on Disney, so I'll just watch it again. You know, like there's no like nothing's forcing me to keep my. I mean, it's not that it wasn't good. It's just that I'm freaking tired all the time.
Yeah,
you know? Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It's past my bedtime now.
I quite, not to go, I won't go deep into it, but I actually quite liked the third Guardians because I was not.
That was fantastic.
I was not too keen on the second one, but I watched them all again. I watched the first two before I watched the third one on Disney, and I wanted to see the beats and what carried over and stuff like that. And the first one is so interesting because I think that's the purest Guardians movie because it's not just about the jokes. It's about this ragtag team of assholes that have to learn how to come together. and the stakes are high, and like the action is it means something. Everything sort of means something in that movie. Whereas like in the second movie, then it's like, all right, now we're just trying to be funny. But then the third one kind of circles back around again, and I actually quite enjoyed it, and I thought it was a good Guardians movie.
And not only did I enjoy it because it was a pretty good Guardians movie, and the end to that era of Guardians, I think, for the Marvel movies, but it's also some of the better Marvel stuff that's come out in a while. A lot of their stuff lately has been kind of mediocre for me, and this was like a high point for those past movies, the past few before that. So I really enjoyed that.
Did you see Secret Invasion? Anybody see Secret Invasion?
I watched all of that. That was okay.
We haven't finished it yet.
Okay.
Now that Clara works and we got stuff going on, it's like we very rarely have time. Like I'm not caught up on Ahsoka. I only saw the first episode because we just don't have time as a family to watch it, and we watch these shows together. So it's like we would be watching Ahsoka now, but I'm doing this, so it's like, oh, well,
oops. See, listeners, see what they sacrifice for you.
Yeah, the one kid's off at school, the other kid's doing his own thing, and Carlene didn't really want to watch Ahsoka, so I can watch that whenever I want.
Shane's just watching
everything.
If
it was up to me, I'd be completely caught up, But,
but then, like, hey, if Ben said, "Hey, let's watch Ahsoka together," I'd hold off and wait till we have time to do it. But he's finishing his last semester at school, and he's home doing it because everything's online for him this last few classes. He's got a part-time internship job since the summer that's continuing through the semester. So yeah, it's just kind of whatever his schedule is, he's catching it whenever he can. So we're not scheduling time to watch it together right now. Too hectic.
Yeah.
I also just think like just all the shit that the poor strikers are going through, and like the shadiness of the studios, it kind of sours me too. Like, no, I don't want to give you views the first week so you can go and say, look, our streaming thing is the best. It's like F you, pay people. Like it sort of just sours me about a lot of stuff talking about it. Or there's new trailers coming out and people are talking about, this is going to start filming when the strike is over. It's like, okay, well then fix it, and let everybody go back to being happy about seeing this shit again. I don't know. Or it's just age and I'm just sort of like
cranky. It's all right. I'm like,
quite frankly, if new stuff has to slow down, that's fine because I got so much stuff to catch up on.
Yeah,
true.
I feel like we could use a good strike every couple years, just to get us, catch up on our backlog of stuff. I mean, that's not good for the actors, but it's good for me. I don't know.
I'm not so sure about that.
Hey, if it forces their hand to get better contracts every 3-4 years, I'm for it. Why not?
Well, yeah. I mean, when the studios are making billions of dollars, then there's no reason not to pay people more.
Billions and billions.
Companies shouldn't make profit. The profit should be distributed throughout all of the people who work at the company. They should have a buffer for, downturns in markets and things like that, but they don't need, billions and billions. Yeah, it's just bullshit.
Well, and I was thinking about something similar to that. Like if you take a $1 billion corporation, just any corporation, not even entertainment industry, and they're in a certain part of the country, state, whatever, and the median pay is this, but they're making so much money, it's obscene. What's to stop them from just paying their people more to make them happy? But nobody does that.
Oh, well, they used to. But then shareholder, like there's a friend of mine recommended a book. I can't remember the name and I can't remember the person, but somewhere like in the 70s or something, there was a guy, like one CEO from some company. I don't remember which one. And he was the first person to be like, you know what? I'm going to stop like reinvesting in my people and my company and everything. And I'm just going to basically maximize the shareholder return so that people buy more stock and and now that's what you do. That's what being a corporation means. It's like 99% about the shareholders. And it used to not be that way at all. It was like, hey, maybe you'll get lucky as a shareholder, maybe you won't, but we put the company first and you're just along for the ride, right? Yeah. That's how it worked. Now, that doesn't mean that the fat cats at the top still didn't get crazy wealthy or whatever, but it does mean that there was a time, especially in the 50s, well, when the tax rates were so insanely high, companies had to put it back in, and that's why they had pension plans and they had all this stuff, and like people could work at a company for 30 years and then retire because it was funded. It's not that they can't fund pension plans, it's that shareholders don't want them to fund pension plans, so then they don't. So but it could be that way again. Companies don't have to be evil by nature. That's that's
somebody directing it that
way. The stock market making it that way. Yeah.
I gave up my Max. I didn't renew for this when it switched over to Max. I don't know why. Like I wasn't. There's nothing new on there that or exclusive on there that I was like I need to watch, and they changed the format a little bit, and I don't know, just something about it. And I was like,
I'm getting closer to that point, especially with Max, because they've removed some things that I watched all the time, like old DC cartoon things. I have some of the DVDs yet, but not all of them. But once I couldn't find them, I'm like, well, what the hell's going on in here? To find out they like removed Challenge of the Super Friends and removed the oldest Super Friends, and I'm like, what hurts this stuff being on there? So I'm getting closer to thinking about just dropping that and then getting it if something comes out, watching it and then dropping it, kind of thing. Only getting the subscription when I need to watch something.
Yeah, there are. I mean, first of all, I will always call it HBO. Fuck that CEO who got rid of his most powerful brand because he used to work for Warner Brothers, Discovery or whatever, and he wants his brand. So that's over for him. Fuck that guy. But Perry Mason is a phenomenal show. The best acting I've seen in a long time. And that, like, it only comes out once a year, right? There's 2 seasons. Hopefully there'll be a third, right? But if you have access to HBO, that is the show to watch. It's phenomenal.
That's on the app? I'll have to look that up.
It's on the app.
I didn't look at that yet. Okay.
Yeah, it's a period. It's like set in the early 30s, so it's like Perry Mason becoming Perry Mason, like before he's even a lawyer, like and then he becomes a lawyer in the first season and has the big trial at the end, right?
That's cool.
It's so well done. So that is like the show that HBO has as far as I'm concerned. That is what would keep me a subscriber. But you could just cancel for 11 months until the new season comes out. Binge it, and you can't binge it because they release one a week. But hey, 3 months and then cancel.
Yeah.
Getting to the point of more willing to do that for all these different streaming platforms because all of them are raising their rates to a certain extent, and the stuff's not on continuously. And once I'm done watching stuff, I have other stuff I want to watch. I don't need to go watch 1,000 other things on the same channel.
Well, I have also heard good things about the Perry Mason HBO series, but I'm actually working my way through the original Perry Mason series on Paramount Plus, so maybe I'll squeeze in the new stuff at some point.
Well, it's interesting, right? Because it's like his origin story, sort of.
That's what I've heard, and it's sort of noir-ish, I believe.
Oh, it's super noir, and but not over the top noir. It's like just perfect.
That's cool.
I still have Paramount through. Was it my phone? They gave it to me for free for a year, I think. Mm-hmm. So I think I have like maybe a month or two. But I was pissed off when I really liked Rise of the Pink Ladies, the Grease prequel show.
I didn't watch that yet.
Well,
and I know it's canceled. Did they pull it off completely?
It's gone. It's like they're doing the whole thing. The nudnik from Max has now set a precedent so that everybody's canceling shows and then pulling them off so they can do some tax write-off. Plus, they don't have to then give residuals and blah, 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 blah.
Unbelievable.
But it's like, I didn't even get to finish it. I was like 2-3 episodes in, and then like for some reason I stopped watching it, and I'm going to have to bootleg it.
Well, I did hear that was going to happen with Willow, that they were going to pull that off Disney Plus. So I quick ran and finished 4 episodes of that before they pulled it, just so I could finish it.
Well, it's crazy that they're just, streaming was like the solution to pirating.
Yeah.
And then it was for a while because they were just adding stuff left and right, and it was awesome. And now just forcing everyone to pirate stuff again. And people are like, well, fine. We know how to pirate. Like, it's like we just didn't for a little while because it was easy. Now we'll just go back to that. So do they think people aren't going to watch Willow, like, or whatever?
Right.
Come on.
Yeah, whatever it is.
That's on countless hard drives now.
And yet they can have, not to go back to it again, but yet they can, Warner Brothers can have a monumental success with Barbie. And it's like, you just wonder, what are they going to learn from that? They're going to learn all the wrong things.
Yep.
Yeah.
They're going to make more movies about toys. That's
Yeah. Because that movie, I love Nolan. I loved Oppenheimer. And I didn't see it the weekend. Everybody was doing like the double feature on that weekend, which I think was just phenomenal. Like that whole thing, the whole build up to it, the whole weekend, people talking about it. Like it kind of felt good to be people who enjoyed movies or whatever,
Yeah.
But I didn't watch it that weekend, but then I did watch Oppenheimer first. And then like a couple days later watched Barbie, which is probably the order I would have done it if I would have gone to a double feature, because it just seems, get the heavy thing out of the way and go in so you can, because I thought the Barbie movie, and it is, I thought it was probably going to be silly, really silly. Like there probably were going to be parts that I was like, oh, that's just too over the top, blah, blah, blah. And it does have Will Ferrell. So that is the part that goes way over the top. But I walked out of there and in the time after watching Barbie, wound up thinking more about what I saw in that movie than Oppenheimer, which was crazy to me. I was like, that is not the movie I thought I was going to like be thinking about, like, and saying, why aren't, who hasn't watched this yet and who needs to watch this? And wow, what a surprise. And what a just an interesting way to make the movie. Like, and it, like we said about learning the wrong lessons, like, we have 5 Transformers movies out, or 6, or whatever it is, right? And like people who scoff at Barbie, yet we have 5 somewhat good, somewhat mediocre Transformers movies,
Yeah.
And yet Barbie rocked all of them, So it's like, it's not just when people say like, I don't want to watch it because it's Barbie. Like, no, you're missing out on a movie. It is a movie, just like Oppenheimer was a film, a movie. I was really surprised, like, how touched I was. And part of me was really annoyed that Geek Podcasting, we love to do movie reviews of every Marvel movie that comes out, every Disney movie. I don't see many podcasters doing Barbie reviews. I'm like, why not? Why is it any different than Transformers or G.I. Joe or any other toy thing that gets, or cartoon thing that gets turned into a movie? And it is actually a really fucking good movie. Like, that's the thing that kills me. So I can't wait to watch that again, actually. I need to see Oppenheimer again too, because that movie just was like a swirl of images. But
yeah, I haven't seen either of them, right? But I think they're both great examples of movie magic, right?
Yeah.
Barbie, because it creates a whole other world that you can't experience anywhere else, and Oppenheimer because Christopher Nolan just does incredible things with the camera and effects and everything, right? And he's just a master. So yeah, and you go to see them for different reasons, but they both can be incredible. Any movie has the potential to be an incredible experience, right? Like I think that's the lesson, right? Is that the studios, like, unless you're Christopher Nolan, they're not going to make Oppenheimer. Anybody else could have this great idea and have all of the same ideas that Nolan had, but they would never get approved because who the fuck wants to see that movie if it's by Peter Rios? But if it's by, Christopher Nolan, then people line up, right? And even though it didn't make as much money, they'll still fund his next movie because, like, now he's earned his place, and like it's like Scorsese will always be able to have his next movie made, right? Even if he has 10 flops in a row, somebody's going to make the next Scorsese movie.
Yeah.
But what they have to do is they have to stop just making formula movies and they have to start making movies.
Yeah.
That's why we love movies when they're movies, when they're really good, interesting, creative endeavors, right?
Right. Yeah. That's the big thing I always feel about the geek movies, like you go in, you turn your brain off, you watch them. There's a lot of people who just do that, and that's all they want to do. But, for those of us who want to talk about the movie, because that's also a thing about wanting to talk about them too.
Yeah.
Like what you said about the movie experience, that is a thing. Like I can remember seeing Iron Man, the first Iron Man. That was a fucking experience.
Mm-hmm.
My girlfriend at that time walked out of there and she was like, that is the hottest superhero. That it was like race cars in the air. She was like, that movie was so good, like it was an experience. And not to prejudice your watching of Flash, Bryan, but holy shit, what a piece of shit that was. Like,
wow.
Just in terms of movie making, right? Like that to me, like there's some parts in it that are fine, but the script is a mess. It feels like it's 3 movies in one. It feels like 8 million hands directed it. It makes the ending makes no sense. Like I was just sitting there going, what am I watching? From the first 15 minutes, I was like, what am I watching?
Yeah.
That's really
going to be
sad.
one where I turn it on and I watch my favorite parts and skip the rest.
There's a lot of skippable stuff for me.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I have zero expectations for that movie. I'll just watch it because it's the next superhero movie in line, whatever, right?
Yeah. But I just want them to be better. I just want movies, superhero movies, TV movies, any movie. I think that's why I don't go to the movie theater anymore, because I look at the trailer or just something about it and I'm like, is that really an experience or is that just an excuse to go to the movies? I don't know if I want that anymore, because movies are expensive.
Well, and there's things that are starting just as that I'm experiencing as my boys are growing up now. For years we've gone to so many movies together, mostly superhero movies or Indiana Jones type movies, John Wick movies, whatever's kind of action packed, exciting that we all want to see. And we go see it together. I take a little picture. I save the tickets. It's cool. It's fun. Well, now Matt's up at school and Ben's doing other stuff. And there's just not enough time to coordinate to do that the way we used to. And some of these movies, I'm like, well, I can kind of wait till it's not in the theater and just watch it at home now. Like I had been, 10, 15 years ago when I was starting to get out of going to the movies a lot. And now I'm kind of back to that where maybe I just won't go every time to go see something. Yeah. Not that I'm afraid to go by myself. I have no problem with that. Or if, you all say, hey, let's go see the movie, I'll go see it. But if every single movie that comes out now, if the boys don't want to go, I don't know that I'll go as much as I had been, just because I love the movie experience. And some of these are not worth going to see in the theater and spending all that money to do it.
That's why they need to keep doing it, which they are. Just do these re-releases, right? Like the Batman trilogy is coming back for limited run. Was Jurassic Park just out or something? I forget if one of those movies came back. When they did the Superman movie, when that came back, Grease came back. Like, okay, I'll watch those movies.
And some of those I never saw in the theater, so I get a kick out of going to see it in the theater. The one drive-in that Carlene and I like to go to, and I knew it was coming and I wanted to see if anybody wanted to go, and I completely forgot about it. They had Ghostbusters 1, 2, and Afterlife, a triple feature. And I would have loved to go and see that. And I thought it was coming up, and then I saw a post over the weekend that it happened. I'm like, crap. So that's off for another time again.
The tricky part, right, is that a lot of people now, more than ever, have like a decent to above average, home movie experience, right? Not everybody has a projector like me or whatever, but people have sound bars and 60-inch TVs and they're 4K. Like it's good, right? It's much better than watching a VHS tape on your 20-inch TV in 1985, right? Like, okay. So the desire
has it.
Or in 2023,
yeah. The need to experience the big screen experience is now way less, right? And so if you're talking about a movie that's like not action packed and full of amazing visuals, you're getting a very similar experience at home. It's like, oh, if it's a romantic comedy, or it's just like a biopic or something, it's like, just a regular drama. It's like, there's not necessarily a compelling reason to see it on the big screen when we're so used to consuming content at home and we're very comfortable and it's easy and it's pretty darn good, right? So that's I think where we're trapped in this situation where Hollywood's like, well, the movies that do well on the big screen are movies that have stunning visuals, so we're just going to keep funding more action movies with explosions and stuff. And then there's less opportunity for actual interesting films to get made because they're not big box office draws, because people are like, I'll just wait at home, you know? And that, like, that sucks, but that's technology is just like made it a reality, right? Like, as much as I love movies, I'm very content to watch them at home. It's more convenient for me.
Sure.
So
Yeah, I really enjoyed, and I feel like in the last couple of years, I've gone to an above average amount of movies. But here again, this year and the end of last year, some of these movies just haven't been as good. I did not like Quantumania that much. I didn't like Black Adam that much. And Flash, I liked enough parts of it that I was glad I saw it in the theater, but it's not worth it to go to the theater. There's just things that are now coming out that I'm like, yeah, maybe I'll take a step back now, because it's just not as exciting as it had been during Iron Man through Avengers Endgame kind of time frame. Some of that's starting to wane a little bit.
Or just movie making in general, like what Bryan was saying about like technology. Sometimes technology just really kind of pokes through. Mm-hmm. Like the movie, it's brand new and you're like, you already can tell, well, that's fake. Well, that's fake. Well, that's fake, and I go back and watch, so I watched all the Indiana Jones movies before I went to see the newest one, and I was watching Temple, and they're doing the minecart chase thing, and they're fake, right? Like they're miniatures as they go through in some parts, and you totally know it is, and yet it still works. Yeah. Why does that work? It's fake. It's a baseball that's chasing him in Raiders, but that works, and yet these newer $300 million movie budgets, and I'm like, ooh, that was bad. That don't make sense.
Well, I think they tried harder. They had to try harder to make stuff look believable because they didn't have computers as a crutch. And now it's like, no offense, like we know from talking to Tom Martinek, it's not the talent of the people, it's the amount of time they're given to work on a shot. Sure. Like, oh, you got 3 days to get the shot, and they're like, well, it's just not going to be beautiful then, because I don't. If you give me 3 weeks, everyone will believe it's real, right? But they just don't have that time because of the money. So that's the problem. Yeah. And they add more effect shots to films. Like, when you look at like Raiders, like how many effect shots were actually in that movie, because they made it in such a way that they didn't need all of those effect shots and stuff, and they figured out how they could get around. Like in Jaws, it was like the shark was a pain in the ass, so they just didn't shoot the shark, and it created more suspense, and it worked out better, right? Like, right. So they now it would be like, well, they can just make the shark digital, and there would have been 10 more shark scenes in Jaws, and it wouldn't be the same movie, right? So it's interesting. Like a great example of like a movie that I'm really looking forward to seeing is in September, and is the third Poirot movie, like the Inspector Poirot, like the Agatha Christie books, right? Like there was Death on the Nile, there was Murder on the Orient Express, right?
With Kenneth Branagh.
Murder on the Orient Express was Kenneth Branagh as Inspector Poirot, right? And the first two movies were quite good. I mean, the first one was much better than the second one, but the second one was still a good movie. And I'm like, oh, sweet, they're making a third. I didn't think they would because I didn't think it made enough money, but this is great. I'm not going to the theater. Like I'll just sit at home and watch that movie. Like I'm really excited for it, and I'm happy to rent it when it comes out. But
yeah,
I gotta take the whole family. It's $50 to go to the movies, or I can rent it for $7. I can buy it for $20 if I don't want to wait to rent it.
Right.
Why would I go to the movies and pay more than that to see it one time when I can pay $20 and watch it as many times as I want?
Yeah.
Well, and even now that the
masks.
Now that the Fox got moved to an AMC, the prices went up a little bit. And I'm like, whew, when I bought tickets for me and Matt to go see Blue Beetle, that was a hefty chunk of change for one movie at 7 p.m., which I normally don't go to either. It's usually matinees early in the morning, whatever the earliest I can get, but we just couldn't do it. And I'm thinking, whew, boy, I'm not spending this all the time. Holy cow.
Adam, what are your thoughts about all this movie jabbering?
Minimal. Yep, just don't devote a lot of thought to it. Don't get out to the movies all that often. As a matter of fact, I would have gone to see Blue Beetle in town, but the theater in Stone Harbor did not even bother to bring it in.
Wow. Racists. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
Yep. Last movie I saw was the Indiana Jones movie, and I went with my parents, and appropriately so, because I kind of felt like the whole thing was like a retirement community exercise. They're going to make an Indiana Jones movie every day from 2 to 4 before supper time.
Jesus. Wait, so what do you guys think of Rebel Moon? Coming on Netflix by Zack Snyder. Did you see that trailer that just dropped?
No, I didn't.
Never heard of it.
No. It was supposedly
I saw that there's going to be like 3 different cuts, so I'm already like, I don't know what happened.
Yeah. It's part 1 and part 2, and then he wants to do a director's cut and all that. But I mean, when I saw it, I was like, oh, this is Zack Snyder's Star Wars movie. And then read about, because I don't follow, all that stuff. And then they're like, no, it's just a Netflix movie that he pitched as a Star Wars movie, and then they didn't want it, or what? I don't know. I don't know the story. I could be getting it all wrong. But when you watch it, I'm like, oh, I wonder when this takes place. Is this like a million years before Luke? Is it after Luke? And then it's like, it's called Rebel Moon,
Yeah.
And then they're like, no, it's not Star Wars. It's on Netflix. I was like, what? I was way out of the loop on that one. So I was like, wow, that's shocking.
I'll look that up after we're done, because I haven't heard of it.
Yeah. When you look at that, you're all going to be like, what the fuck? Those are lightsabers. Those are big ships. Her name is Scargiver, like Skywalker, Scargiver. I was like, wow. Looks great. Looks interesting. I love me some sci-fi stuff, but I was very shocked. Very shocked.
And that's something else I think is missing from current movies is original good sci-fi that catches an audience. I'm sure there's stuff out there, shows and whatnot that are good, but I just mean something like when the first Star Wars came out, that caught everyone by surprise, and it was, oh my God, Star Wars. There hasn't been something like that that's caught everybody. I kind of wonder if the first Dune movie wasn't the closest thing we've had, but again, that's something that's known.
Yeah, people are excited about that, but I don't think it's
Stargate
cool.
was pretty cool.
Yeah, that's true. Stargate.
The Matrix was very cool.
Oh, the Matrix. I think that
the
comes
Matrix.
Close.
Yeah, that was good.
Because that was culture. That got into the culture.
But even that's now 24 years old.
Yeah, but that last one was really good. I thought that last one was a really good return.
Oh, I like the fourth one. Yeah, I like the fourth one.
Yeah, I was a big fan. Adam, what's on your mind lately? How's Stone Harbor?
Just yearning for post Labor Day. Just wanting people to get the hell out of town and let's have some time to ourselves again. The TV I've been watching has basically been Phillies games and late night reruns of Cheers.
Nice.
These discussions of streaming content are kind of lost on me because what you guys have to understand is the only television set in our house here in Stone Harbor that is streaming capable is the big one downstairs in the main room that I'm forced to share with my parents all the time. So I can't stream any of the kind of things we like to talk about without hearing complaints. And usually it's late at night after work, besides which, so they're going to fall asleep on it. I might even be falling asleep on it. So
Yeah.
once we get to the other side of Labor Day and people start draining out of town and we start cutting out our night hours at the Christmas shop, then maybe we can maintain some normal viewing hours for this kind of content, and maybe I can actually finish watching Secret Invasion. I can actually watch some of Ahsoka, which I have yet to do. And yeah, I'm trying to get my way through Game of Thrones.
Oh,
I'm way behind on that yet. I didn't start the second season yet.
Oh my God! Wow.
I've
Yeah.
watched like the first 3 seasons. I watched it once, like 6 or 7 years ago. Had to step away from it, and now I'm just kind of getting back into it. And my father's actually willing to watch that with me, but my mother complains because it's too violent. And so there's that. Also, I've started reading the first book in A Song of Ice and Fire.
oh, cool.
Okay.
Yes, and I know that Bryan warned years ago. He decreed that there's no point in reading the books anymore because the HBO series got the adaptation so well, and I'm not regretting that I'm reading it. Actually, I'm over halfway through the 800-page first volume. It's cutting into my comic book reading time a little bit, but it's it's well written. It goes quickly, and it's fun to pick out the little differences between text and series, of which there are not really that many. I'm finding that the first season...
Just wait. The first season, it starts to diverge the longer it goes on. But the first 3 books are excellent. The 4th book is a complete shit show.
Yep.
Half of the 5th book is a continuation of the shit show, but then the other half is actually like pretty interesting, and then it just stops, and we'll never get any more of it. So,
Right.
Yes, the dragons never arrive.
Enjoy at your risk, right? Like, I mean,
I will take that risk, Bryan. I can step away at any time.
Right. Yeah.
Well, it's such an interesting read too because of the way he writes it. Every chapter is based on a different character, and then you come back to the character as you go through the book. And I actually read all of it before I even watched Game of Thrones. In fact, I think Game of Thrones ended, and I still was finishing the books. And then I went and during the pandemic watched all of it. And you're right. Like those, talk about another series that felt like it was monumental and just world building, and you're like, yes. And then, like you say, you get to the I guess it's the 4th book, right? And you're like, is this written by somebody else? What is happening? Where did the magic go? Where did I don't care anything about like this particular plot or this story or this character that he keeps coming back to. And I'm like, what's going on? I was so frustrated. And then where he ends the book is it even halfway through the story? I guess maybe it's probably a little bit more than halfway than what the TV series got through. I don't want to say where it is, just, I don't know where Adam is. Or Shane. So, but it's like, there are hundreds of subplots yet to go in the book that the series didn't even go near. They were like, no, we're not going to touch on that and her and this. No, we can't do that. So you're right. Like he's never going to finish that series. That series is it's the sonic disruptors of the fantasy world. For those people who know what that is. It's just never going to get done, which is frustrating because I actually would like to know what his ending will be, if it is going to be different, without saying it.
Right.
So, yeah. Well, that's great, Adam, that you're reading that. That's good stuff.
Helping the hours pass faster behind the counter.
Pants, where are your energies these days?
A lot of TV watching, and then comic organizing, and even some comic reading. I've been going through the collection as I find them and rereading some things, like so many things. I've forgotten what happened, so it's almost like reading it for the first time. For instance, I stumbled across the Fables and Jack of Fables and decided to start reading that. Going through my database, I realized that I didn't get Fables when it first started. I look at how much I paid for my back issues. I had the first trade, and I don't think I started buying issues regularly to issue 51. So I've been rereading that. Found as I was rereading it, again, reading the back parts of the Vertigo where they say what's coming up, that there was a one shot that came out which I didn't even know existed. Fables: The Last Castle. It was a bit of a prequel. It takes sort of place around issue 18 of the regular series, but it's a prequel to what happened before Fables. I didn't know it existed. Apparently, it was in one of the trades, but I wasn't reading the trades. So I found it online for a decent price, got it, read it, enjoyed it. So that was a new discovery. But I knew generally some of the beats of the book. Like I knew who the main villain was, and I knew some of the characters. But as I'm rereading, I didn't realize like some people who died. I didn't remember that. I forgot there was a second big bad, which I'm sort of at right now, but I'm remembering as I read along. I've just gotten to the point where there's the great Fables crossover, where it crosses over with Jack of Fables, and they have literals. It's a 9-issue crossover. And we actually talked about this on the podcast, I think like twice, according to the show notes. I don't remember what goes on in the crossover. I just read issue 1. I have the other issues here to read, so that's great. Rediscovering that. And in rediscovering that, looking at the database, it ended with issue 150. I looked at my database. There isn't even an issue 150 in the database. Turns out, issue 150 was like issued in conjunction with the 22nd trade. So
it's trade,
like,
yeah.
Yes, I always think I didn't know that because clearly I must have stopped reading it again at some point. I did get issue 149 when it came out. I have everything else like in dollar bins I've gotten. So I had to order issue 150 from In Stock Trades where it was 75% off.
Nice.
Fantastic. Now, of course, they say, oh, they get free shipping with $50 order. It's like, no, it's a $4.50 trade. I'm not going to spend $45 to save $4 in shipping. So, I mean, I considered it. I tried filling up my cart, but it's like, no, I can't do that. But even with the $4 in shipping, it was still half off the trade. It's actually going to come tomorrow.
Nice.
So I'll finish that up. And then, of course, it was so many years it was just done. They've restarted it again with a 12-issue series with numbering going on.
Yep.
So eventually at some point, I'm going to get that all together and I'll be caught up. But yeah, I guess issue 83 is where I am right now.
Wow.
And I forgot how great this was. I mean, this Bill Willingham writing it, Mark Buckingham on the majority of the artwork, won so many Eisners. And I think it was a big favorite of Jamie's, and we talked about it on the show several times. We had Bill Willingham on the show at some point. But I just forgot all about it. Did you guys read Fables? Were you caught up on Fables?
Oh, I read all of it, yeah. I was actually just at the comic store today checking to see if the next newest trade, because I have all the trades, right? And I finished the series and everything. And now that they started it up, I have to continue to buy it in trades because otherwise it won't match, right? So I have to have it. So I was looking to see if volume 23 is out yet, and I don't think that it is. So I will buy it as soon as it comes.
That might be waiting till those 12 issues are done to release that. I'm guessing.
Yeah,
maybe, but they was the number of issues per trade would differ based on the storyline, and so I thought maybe they could divide the storyline into 2 6-issue chunks, right? But I don't know. Maybe they'll just do 1 12-issue trade, but that's pretty big for a trade, so I don't know. So
well, that makes sense. But this also brings up a question I wanted to ask you guys. Clearly, my memory of specifics is lacking in my comic reading. I know generalities, but reading it again, do you guys remember everything you've read? Or do you have to go back and reread things all the time?
Not anymore. I mean, yeah, go ahead, Brian.
I don't remember like what I read on the page before when I get to the next page.
You seem to remember you talking about that. Okay.
Yeah. No, for me, for what I remembered when we first were hanging out and then started the podcast, I remembered a lot more than what I do now. I mean, you're talking almost 20 years later. So yeah, I don't remember everything that I read all that time ago. Things like the Justice League Starman that I've read a few times, Dark Knight Returns, Kingdom Come, that stuff I remember pretty good. But I've read those many times over the years. But there are whole storylines of things that I just don't remember anymore. And I'm interested to read them again to remember what they were about and what happened.
Because where I am at Fables right now came out in 2009. That's 14 years ago, and I just don't remember what happened to this crossover. So
Yeah.
I'm curious to reread that again.
And when it comes to stuff in that time frame, it doesn't seem like it should be 14 years ago, but it is. Like I feel like, oh, that's just a couple years. Oh, wait, God, that's 14, 15 years ago. Holy shit. All right, yep. I'm going to have to reread that because I don't remember it.
Now I'm going to go even a little further back. One other series I was wanting to reread / read for the first time is DC Comics Presents. The great crossovers with Superman and other DC heroes. Because I got the first issue when it came out in 1978. I remember that. I had that first issue. And it's a two-parter with the Flash. I never found issue 2 at the time. Didn't get it till maybe 10, 15 years later when I started getting back into comics, read it. And when we were doing the organizing downstairs, issues 1 and 2 weren't downstairs.
Jeez.
I just found issues 1 and 2. So I pulled them out and reread them. And if you'll bear with me a minute, this is some fascinating stuff in this that I want to just touch on, get your thoughts on. DC Comics Presents issue 1, 35-cent cover price from 1978. Jose Garcia Lopez artwork, inked by Redding's own Dan Adkins. That's an awesome thing.
Yep.
Written by Martin Pasco, I think.
Actually, I read by Martin Pasco. Excellent. Just going through it, it's a nice storyline, big stuff. And again, this issue is just the actual issue. I love the smell of it, the look of it. There's an Aquaman hostess ad in here. Gotta love that. So again, no, this is around 1978. So there's a center ad for the DC Explosion. Remember that? Again, all the ads for like X-ray eyes. There's a great ad on the back here for the Super Siren. If you remember that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
There's another couple things in this issue. There's a theory in here where the villain of the piece is traveling through time. They can't go backwards, but they can go forwards in time because, of course, time is a circle. So when they get to the end of time, they go through the cosmic curtain and get back to the beginning, and it's oh, God bless the 70s. So I love that. The letter column at the very end doesn't have a title yet.
Mm-hmm.
So in this issue, they solicit suggestions from the readers, and it's a contest. And if you win the contest, you get to have your name and likeness drawn into a future issue of DC Comics Presents. And at the time in the 70s, there was all kinds of great contests, which I don't think I ever found out who won them. Like, there's a bunch of them that said you could be in the Superman movie. Remember that? There was like an X-Men cover where you could win a Toys R Us $2,500 shopping spree.
Yep.
But I thought that's pretty cool. So eventually when I get to reading the comments, I'll find out who won it. Spoilers, I cheated and found out through a Comic Book Resources article who won it. That's a great story. So then I get to issue 2. This is published every 2 months at that time in 78. It's now a 50-cent cover price. 44 pages, 25 pages of pulse-pounding pandemonium. You gotta love the alliteration on the cover.
Indeed.
But this is part of the DC Explosion. They raise the prices. You get more content. There's an article in here, DC Publishorial from Jeanette Kahn talking about the price increase and the DC explosion, the new characters. Loving the content here, which you probably wouldn't get. I'm not sure if this is collected anywhere, but
No, probably not.
ads and things are fantastic in this. Speaking of ads, speaking of contests, there's a centerfold thing. We remember at the time. Holy taste buds! It's the famous Clark Bar superhero sweepstakes.
I don't remember that one.
You open it up, and there's this great 2-page spread. You could win a trip to Gotham and appear in a superhero comic book. So much to break down about this. First of all, the art is from Neil Adams' studio. I believe he inked it. Not sure who penciled it. The original artwork for this is at a dealer's site for $20,000.
Jeez.
That's amazing. The first prize, if you're lucky enough to win the first prize, Clark will fly you and your family, the 4 people, to New York City and back. You'll stay for 3 days and 2 nights, all expenses paid. You'll take a tour of the DC offices so an artist can draw you into an upcoming issue of your favorite DC comic book, be part of the action. When your comic is published, you'll get 15 copies for your family and friends. They'll be proud to know a famous person like you.
That's cool.
In the article on Comic Book Resources about the contest winner of the letter column DC Comics Presents, it's mentioned that this is like an urban legend. Nobody knows who won this contest. Apparently, it's a big thing. So that's a fascinating thing. I love that. But again, I love just look at the back matter here. There's another half-page ad here. Again, I'm just rambling. Forgive me. You got me going on comics. A half-page ad here from DC says, important notice. Applications are now being taken for the following chapters of the DC Superstars Society. And they list 11 characters. Batman, Black Lightning, DC's War Heroes, The Flash, Green Arrow, Black Canary, Green Lantern, and so on and so on. And it says, this is great. Love the 70s. Send a long stamped self-addressed envelope with your name, address, and the chapter you prefer to, and the P.O. box. It says you will receive a detailed application form explaining the DC Superstar Society, the items in your chapter's membership package, and your special chapter questionnaire testing your knowledge of your favorite DC superstars. Each chapter is different, so select your favorite. I love this. I got to Google this to see whatever happened with this. I've never seen or heard of this questionnaires. That'd be fascinating to read. Again, there's a great splash page in here with Superman and the Flash. The letter column here talks about the challenge in getting from 17 pages to 25 pages. It wasn't originally planned like that. They go on about it, talking about there's a big snowstorm in New York. They mention Reading, Pennsylvania, and Dan Atkins in the letter column specifically. There's a Daily Planet full-page ad next to it. DC In-House, where they talk about current DC comics and what's coming up and give dates on shelf. Fantastic. I love this stuff in the old comic, which you probably wouldn't get in a trade collection.
No,
So
yeah, you wouldn't. Not all that.
Sorry, I'm winded now. I need a rest. But that's my comic reading right now, and I'm looking forward to diving into future issues of DC Comics Presents, finishing Fables, this great Fables crossover. I got Fables.
You have, what did you say? 16,000 books you need to get through.
Well, that's downstairs. Like I said, I've got about 8,000 more up here, and now I need to sort of talk this out with, if you guys can help me out. Look, so everything's already in order downstairs. It's around the room in the boxes, about 4 to 5 high on the perimeter of the living room.
Yep.
In the center is a table where I'm putting these comics. I'm taking out these boxes, each letter ABC, and then working them into the runs. But at some point, I keep going around and around. I'm going to get further and more boxes are going to pile up. I'm trying to think of the most efficient way to do this, and I'm having problems doing it because I can't bring them all down and then just do it again. There's just not enough room, so I have to do it piecemeal. But I'm going to run out of boxes soon. I've started pulling some things out that I know I don't want to keep. There's a whole box of like duplicates. Which, again, I don't know how I got duplicates of some of these things.
Yeah, I did laugh when Adam and I were going through the Action Comics. Duplicates.
Don't know how I got so many duplicates of that. Again, it may be my brother's. I don't know. But I've already put aside like a full drawer box full of the new 52 books. I want to get rid of those. Pretty much. Just I forget it. Bad experience. Want to get rid of that somehow. I mean, I'm going to keep the Batwoman books and maybe the Batman books, maybe, but those are kind of like, get some money perhaps. Some of the Rebirth stuff I have, I was like, I want to get rid of that. So I'm trying to do everything at once. Organize it, prune it, and then read it. So it's like, again, there's no timetable. It's a slow. I'm even going to a Comic-Con in Baltimore next weekend or weekend from now, and have a small list of things to look for down. There's actually one issue of Action Comics where I have the Whitman variant. Yeah. I hate those variants because it has the Whitman logo. I'm gonna get the decent, so I gotta find one of those. So it's just these are first world pants problems.
I was debating about going to Baltimore. I haven't decided if I'm going to try that or not.
Well, if you do, look me up because I'll be down there.
Okay.
It's Baltimore Comic-Con. Is that what it is?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pants, speaking of Fables, did you know that there was a novel that came out that like takes place like somewhere around the middle of the run?
Yeah.
So an actual book that Bill Willingham wrote.
Yep.
That is a Fable story that fills in a storyline. Like
any idea what it might be called? I'm going to do some Googling right now. I know there was 1,001.
It's not that
stories. Okay, it's not that. So I'm going to Google Fables novel. Oh, Peter and Max.
Yeah, Peter
Fables
and Max.
Novel?
That's it.
Okay. I don't believe I have that. Let me. Come on, scroll here.
It was quite good. I really enjoyed it.
Okay, 368 pages. Wow, I found a place where I can get 75% off. It says part of the Fables 11 and a half. I'm just trying to figure out where it fits, but okay, I'll have to look into that. Nice, thank you. I'm going through the there's not really a letter common in the Vertigo books, but like a page of just what's upcoming, and they do mention that's where I found out the Last Castle.
Mm-hmm.
And so I don't know if I remember seeing that, so I'll have to look that up. Again,
if I remember right, that novel was solicited in previews with all the other comic
It wouldn't surprise me, but again, I wasn't necessarily reading the book when it came out, so whenever the book was solicited, I might not have been on my radar.
Sure.
I think it has a few like illustrations from Bucky in there too. Just to
I think he's going to be actually at the Baltimore Comic-Con, if I'm not mistaken. I haven't seen him in quite since London Con.
You're gonna have to get Cinderella from the.
Well, now I do have the Cinderella books when they come out. There's like 2 mini series of that. I do have that.
The Fairest.
I have Fairest. I have Jack of Fables. Like I said, there was 1,001 Snowfall. I have that. I've already read that. But yeah, it's just. It's fun. Like I said, it's interrupting their organization, but it's a good thing. I said I'm not in any hurry. And again, it's getting me back into reading comics, which I haven't been doing. I've actually even Golden Eagle comics today. I stopped by on the way home from work today. I need to get some Silver Age bags and boards, so I stocked up on that.
Nice.
And I was actually going to get. I don't know if you guys. I think we talked about it in the last show, Peter and I. But did you know the Benson sisters have a new comic story out right now?
I do, only from listening to the episode.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Yep.
It's in the Nort's Swimsuit Illustrated Edition. It's a Penguin story. I think it's 8 pages. I think it features the Birds of Prey. I ordered it from DC Base. I don't actually have it yet. And they didn't have any copies at Golden Eagle, which isn't surprising because it seems to be a kind of an issue they wouldn't necessarily order because they pretty much order just to sell through, and I guess everybody had an interest in that.
Yep,
so I didn't read that. Speaking of Penguin, I did pick up the Tom King written Penguin #1. Again, I wasn't going to buy any new issues, but I heard some good things about it. I have pretty much not bought any Tom King stuff when it's come out. When I should know better. But so I got #1. I read it. I enjoyed it. Will I go on with it? I don't know. I don't want to get back into reading these monthly comics. However, there is an exception. I heard so many amazing things about the upcoming Wonder Woman series he's doing.
Yeah.
I am
I'm looking forward
pre-ordering
to that.
I am pre-ordering that. And I did see it's a $4.99 cover price. However, I know there's 40 pages in it.
Hmm.
Half off the first issue of DCBS and I think so. I'm going to go on that because I've heard so many good things about that. I don't want to be left out for that, but I just don't want to be buying it. And I'm looking at the.
You're shocked about $4.99 cover prices?
Yeah, I know.
When Marvel is spitting out $9.99 comics with only like 60 pages.
Oh yeah, the new Gods acronym thing from Hickman. Yeah.
That's crazy.
That's
Can't do it.
Great. No, if you're doing $9.99, it's got to be at least 80 pages. That's the standard.
At least
not 60. I was like, what?
And it's funny reading the article from Jeanette Kahn about the DC explosion of how most comics went to 50 cents. There were the dollar comics at that time for DC. They had, I think, 66 pages and no ads in them.
Yep.
The times we used to live in. The 70s.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, looking through the in-house ads in this, it's like, what is this? I don't. So again, I'm old. I've stopped. I've been out of comics for a couple of years. I don't know about this whole thing with night terrors. But talking to the guys in the shop,
I'm skipping that.
Talking to the guys, they said, "Oh, night terror. We didn't do much well with night terror." So I was like, "Oh,
that's where." See, this is where the app comes in because I it's like the one thing I'll always get because
I have the book in my hands physically.
No. I've been keeping a tally of all the books I've read. I've now read cover price $400 worth of comics on the app, and it only cost me
8 issues basically.
Yeah.
But it only cost like 80 issues.
I kid.
But it only cost me $100. So even with DCBS discount, I'm still making out more than if I would keep ordering these damn things.
And but let's say you want to sell them. How are you going to sell those books?
And you don't have to store them and organize them.
I don't have to organize them.
Yeah, but then again, hey, I'm old. I'm stuck in my ways.
I still get some things to hold and read, but I prefer to things that are on the peripheral that I'm like, well, maybe, or like Night Terrors. There's not a chance in hell I was going to order that. But I will maybe look it up on the app at some point and read a little bit of it.
The only comic I'm buying.
There you go.
I was going to ask if you were getting that. Nice.
Wait, doesn't Usagi still put out single issues or no? You don't get those?
Yeah, but that's a trade paperback kind of thing. Yeah. You know what's funny about the apps, right, is like I go into the comic store every Wednesday because Clara works Wednesday night and I go to pick her up. So I always go 15 minutes early so I can browse and see what came out on Wednesday, right? Old habits die hard.
15 minutes, God, I'd go an hour. Meandering.
A lot of what I see that I really want to read is a lot of, Image and Dark Horse and whatever stuff. And of course, like, that's not on subscription apps, right? I know like you could Comixology and buy it, or well, Comixology shut down now, right? Or whatever, but you could buy it digitally somehow or whatever. But like, I don't want to pay like the regular price. I want to like have the fire hose because I'll instead of buying stuff, I'll just buy nothing if I don't have like an unlimited option to buy, right? Because like I don't want to pick and choose. Like, do I want to spend $5 on that or $5 on that? I don't know. So I'll just get nothing because analysis paralysis. But if you just gave me like if Image just had a subscription service just like Marvel and DC did, I'd probably buy that and probably read more than I'm reading from Marvel or DC.
Sure.
And so it's like, I feel like that's a missing piece, but then you run into the same thing with TV. It's like, well, do you want the Dark Horse subscription too? And the Boom subscription or like whatever. It's like, but Image, I feel like Image could make a go of the subscription service.
I think they could too. There's enough variety, and they have a good longevity with some things, and then they're really good at producing new content. Yeah, that
Right.
probably would work better than Dark Horse or every Tom, Dick, and Harry.
Yeah.
The interesting thing about Image trying to do that, they would have to be finally transparent about actual numbers, because Image books are all trademarked or whatever it is for the creators. Image doesn't own that, so they have to be totally 100% upfront about your book sold, got this many, downloaded this, like suddenly those number games would have to be so transparent. So maybe that's why, I wonder if that's why they don't
Maybe
follow up on it. But Marvel and DC can get away with it, because they own everything. So.
Well, it's just interesting, right? Like, I don't know how successful these Marvel and DC apps are, right? Like, how many people are actually buying those subscriptions? I don't know.
Yeah.
It's publicly traded. Maybe it's disclosed in some, annual report somewhere or whatever, but I don't know. So maybe an Image one, like maybe there's just not that much money going around in the digital comics marketplace. Like, so I don't know. So maybe the creators aren't really missing out on a big piece of the pie by not having their books, available like that. But you just gotta wonder. Like, I go to the comic book store every week, and I'm like, I'm mildly curious about reading that, but I don't want more comics in my house. I don't want another trade paperback on the shelf. I just don't want this shit in my life, right? But I want to read it. So the choice is I could either have access to a discounted, digital mechanism, or I could like go to the library maybe, and then the writer gets and the creator gets $0 because the library bought one copy and 100 people read it. So it's like, I don't know, like it feels like they might be getting shortchanged by there not being a better way, an easier way for us to, have access digitally. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I agree with Peter. As long as there's a Marvel and a DC app, I'll get them, because I like having the access to not only new stuff, but old stuff that I'm curious about that I now don't have to go track down or get a trade for. I can just read it.
But you guys all have like tablets to read them on, right?
Oh,
No.
yeah.
Yes. Oh,
I
no.
don't.
You read on your phone, on the computer?
I want to get both. Sometimes I lay in bed and I read.
That I couldn't do.
That
I couldn't do.
Well, each panel is bigger than it would be.
Yeah,
in
sure.
printed edition,
I get that, but it's. I said what I do is when I read these comics, I take my glasses off and I stick my face into the book. Literally, this is how I read. No, this is how I read the book.
Yeah,
and
I prefer it, but
I just love that, and that's probably not going to change. And I'm an older when I die, somebody else will take over.
I get that too, and there's a lot of stuff I do like reading in physical form. Favorite series, favorite characters, I will always get that. It's 15 books a month at most. Sometimes it's 5.
Yeah.
Depends what's coming out. The one thing I did love about Night Terrace is my shipments, my ordering was minimal. There was nothing to order. So I'm just skipping right over that altogether.
Yeah, because didn't that like take over all of DC books for like 2 months?
Yep, 2 months.
Most DC books, not all.
Yeah,
of them, most.
Oh, okay.
Most of them.
Yeah.
But it was enough that I didn't have to order much anything.
There you go.
It's probably too much work, Brian, but I mean, if you go to the Image website, they do offer the first issue that you can read for free from some of their series. So at least that way you can at least sample a first issue. They don't do it for all their new series, but a lot of the older stuff, I just did a quick search and I was like, oh yeah, read the first issue for free online.
I didn't even know that they did that for Image.
Yeah, which is good. Like I like that because you can at least try out some things, and they do have some things coming down. Like, if you're big Transformers fans, Daniel Warren Johnson doing Transformers that's like I'm looking forward to reading that.
I am too.
And they're going to get a new G.I. Joe and a new Duke series, and Cobra Commander, I think, is getting a series.
Yep.
So Robert,
I can't remember if they're series or Duke and Cobra Commanders are one-shots.
Mini-series, probably, or one-shots.
Getting ready for the new one.
I would think so, yeah.
Still hoping for Visionaries Knights of the Magical Light. I mean, that's...
Yeah.
It's a Hasbro license, too.
Sure.
IDW tried it once and screwed it up, so maybe Image at least saw fit to try. They do a better job of it.
Same with Mask, and they did try that with IDW a few years ago with Transformers and a bunch of stuff, and that floundered terribly.
Well,
it did better than Visionaries did. They published one
that's true.
Visionaries Transformers miniseries and just dog's breakfast.
That's true.
Yeah, they had a crossover, Revolution or something like that. Yeah, I actually like that. Yeah,
I did too. I had high hopes that it would continue and they would do a bunch of stuff, and it just went nowhere after that.
I mean, Kirkman is such a 80s, 90s kid or whatever he is, you know? Like, I imagine he probably hopes that these sell well so that he could maybe tinker with more, you know? Getting good with Hasbro
And there's rumors flying around right now of I don't remember if it's Super 7 or some other toy company getting a license right of some kind for Mask to do something. So maybe that would spark something. Who knows?
But
it certainly is ripe for a picking to try again for some of these things.
Anybody want some CGS history?
Sure.
Yes.
Lay it on us.
Let's switch it up here in CGS history. So this is for the month of August. I probably should have done September too, since this will come out in September. But so like last episode, Pants and I talked. We did June and July, and it was a lot of convention stuff and blockbuster movie reviews because that was. So the big thing about August, there are a ton of Uncle Sal episodes.
Interesting.
Because it's
probably post San
Diego.
Yeah,
right. Yeah. So it's like
pre-New York at the time.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
So there's a ton of great Uncle Sal episodes spread out throughout
They're all
of
great.
Yeah. All right, so let's go 2005. These are August episodes in 2005. 41.5 was when we did an interview with Garib Sheamus.
Oh, wow.
Remember that?
Yeah.
That was a pretty important one because at that time they had announced Wizard World Atlanta, and it was running at the same time as Heroes Con, and it was like a big controversy. And
who was going to what?
Yeah, and then we got him to say at the end, he was like, "No, we're not doing that anymore." Like, you know, that was the whole point. Like, it was part interview, but also to sort of put a kibosh on all of it. But in that interview, I remember he talked about like the beginning of Wizard World or Wizard magazine, and he mentioned about, you know, this thing led to this thing, led to this thing. It was like baby steps. And
and that was our motto.
That was our motto for CGS for a long time. Baby steps. Episode 42 was the first time we had a segment for comic movie news by Tom Martinek. He used to do those little segments. We used to have a lot of people who did segments.
Do we know if he's still at IOM?
Oh, yeah.
I believe so,
is.
yeah.
He is.
Very good. That's probably like, 20-some years, I'm going to guess.
Every now and then I'll prod him with a question, especially when Ben was starting to go through college the first 2 years about different things. So, yeah, he's still there.
Cool.
He sent me, I guess based on one of our other discussions, you know, in the past, whatever, where I had mentioned I had never seen the CGS symbol in Iron Man. So he sent me a still of where it is on the side of the road. And I was like, oh, there it is. Okay. Now I see it all the time. You know, as you watch the fight scene, you're like, oh, it's right there. Okay.
Yep.
So
I bring it up all the time. Somebody will say something like, yeah, here's a little tidbit in there. And like, really? And I'm like, yep, right here. Whoop.
Well, now I need to know where the one with Transformers.
It's on well, there's sort of two. One is on later in the movie on one of the Jets display screens, like tracking other ships on their cockpit display. But the earlier one, there's even two parts there. One, there's a bunch of fire in the background of something, and he said that is the symbol pulled and twisted to put into the fire. And then there's one where the Transformers, when they first meet, God, what's I want to call him Mutt, but I know that's Indiana Jones. Witwicky, Shia LaBeouf's character, when they transform, one of them has Gatling guns running around, and inside there, the orange is the symbol twisted and spun around.
That's awesome
as well. So it's not going to look like the symbol, but he says, you can say what you want, but I know that's what I put in there. So,
well, and I swear, like maybe, you know, I forget everything, so I could be wrong, right? But if Tom's listening, he can let us know. I swear he put our names on a bumper sticker in maybe Iron Man 2 or something. It was like Steamer Rios,
Yep. Something like that.
Whatever. And it was like, now again, like it's on a bumper sticker of a car that's like being thrown up in the air or exploding on the highway or whatever, right? But I don't have like a screen grab of it, but I remember seeing a screen grab 15 years ago or whatever.
Yeah.
So I'd love to see that again if Tom's listening.
I remember hearing about that, but I don't know that I've ever seen a screen grab of that either.
Cool. I thought someone mentioned that the symbol was like on Optimus, like as a reflection.
Yeah. So he told me that too, but so the scene in the alley where like the Transformers are first assembled, I think, right?
Yep.
In the first movie. And yes, but again, he had it there and he had to make it so that it was basically completely unrecognizable, or like the producer would have been like, what the hell is that logo? Like, what is that? Right. So it's there, like the other thing Shane described. It's just been stretched and contorted and blurred so that, only we know because Tom told us. And I remember at one point in the past, like seeing like the phases of it. It's like, here I started with the mask, like there's the logo, the image, like cool. On the reflection. And then as I did this step and then this step and then this step now, you would never
I never
know.
saw that. That'd be cool.
That's awesome. All right, let's go back. Episode 43.5 was an episode. We had like a roving reporter, Chris Niesman, did a whole bunch of interviews at Wizard World Chicago. Basically, that's around comics episode 0, you could say.
Yeah.
We're still in 2005. Episode 45, one of Bryan's favorite interviews. Jeff Clock on how to read superhero comics and why. Love that guy.
God, that was great.
We did the Walking Dead Volume 1 Book of the Month episode because the listeners suggested and demanded, and we were all like, what? We're going to read Walking Dead? All right.
Yep.
We had John Duffy on that episode because he was a fan.
Oh, that's probably where my picture's from. Here. I wonder if this is the episode.
Oh yeah, when you were all packed into the room. Must be. Because John never joined us for any other episodes, right? Did he?
I don't think so.
I thought he did, but maybe not.
Nice.
Not many. If he did, it wasn't many.
Yeah, it wasn't many. Yeah, same with like
I gotta
Alex.
get that back up there.
Velcroed. Episode 50, part 2. We did 2-part, or it was just long enough that we split it into 2 parts. That was when we had that discussion where we created the character of Second Chance.
Yep.
And
I still wish that was an actual comic. It was a good idea, I think.
It was. We got some really cool artwork out of it too.
Sure,
yeah, we did.
Sure did.
I forgot to write the episode number, but then also in 2005, Mike was our first Mike Norton interview episode.
Oh, I loved when Mike was on.
I want to say it's 51, I think.
Might have been right after, yeah.
I so wanted to say 52, but I didn't. I think it was 51, actually.
See it in your face.
Let's go to 2006, episode 165. Again, these are all in August. Was when we made our trip out to Chicago Con 2006, where I believe we stayed at Mike Norton's house.
We did.
Yeah. Slept on the floor, if I remember right.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. We started covering Annihilation, the event from Marvel. And that would lead to an interview with Keith Giffen, Andrea DeVito, and Andy Schmidt. And then we would continue to do other episodes with Andy Schmidt. And Guardians of the Galaxy, the movie Guardians of the Galaxy probably wouldn't have existed without that event.
I think you're right.
Yeah. Let's see. 2006, episode 167. We had another Uncle Sal episode, but this time he brought along Cousin Buzz. I just listened to like the first 3 minutes of it, and I was like, it was already insane. It was already,
Was that the one where they went to San Jose Con?
I don't remember.
The San Jose talk is just with Jane Whedon of the Go-Go's.
Oh,
God, that's some awesome stuff.
I loved
showing. Oh,
I loved those episodes, especially in the early years, because you could just sit back and go and just laugh and enjoy.
We really should just go through those Uncle Sal episodes just to see where's the poodle story, where's the Uncle Nazy story, where's the because I want to hear those all the time, and I can never remember which episodes they're in.
Then of course the raccoons in the house, the attic. Oh, whatever this is.
All right, 2006. We did in the middle of the Civil War event episode, episode by episode, issue by issue. That was when we did the special when they announced the big delay for that, and we had like a whole bunch of people on, and people really liked that
Scandalous
episode.
at the time, wasn't it?
It was just a really cool episode for us because we got like retailers on and editors on, and like it was kind of cool. Let's see. Episode 173 in 2006, we used to do the Indie Challenge. We interviewed for the first time, I believe, Cullen Bunn for the series Damned. And now he's all over Marvel, Boom, Aftershock. I mean, he's everywhere. But he was just doing a little horror book back then. Episode 174 in 2006 was the first time we interviewed Freddie Williams II.
Oh,
He was drawing Robin at the time.
I could not be there that night. I remember missing that one.
And then he would also come on quite often. 2007, episode 280 was another Uncle Sal episode shortly after giving birth to his first kid. So that was a fun.
So that was what you said, 2007?
Yeah.
So he's going to be 16. Oh, my God. Anthony.
We also, in that month, did the Flash Gordon movie review. Movie commentary. I'm sorry, not a review, a commentary.
Oh, yeah.
I'd be curious to hear that one again.
Oh, my God.
2008, only one here. Episode 495, we interviewed Lee Weeks because he was being spotlighted in Modern Masters.
Nice.
That would eventually lead to him being a guest at Super Show. 2009, episode 666.
I know this one.
I just found the videotape of that. The cassette. I have a video cassette of that episode.
What?
A video?
Yes.
What do you mean a video?
I set up a camcorder that we had at the time on the counter, taping them as they recorded the episode.
Really?
Yes.
You should put that up on the YouTube.
I gotta figure out how to do that because it's a little.
Oh, you have to convert it.
Yeah, somehow.
You just drop it off at a place and
I'm gonna have to.
Yeah. Doesn't have any like home porn on it or anything, does it?
No.
That's a different tape for that.
Yeah.
That's all on 4K.
No.
That's good.
Anyway,
while Peter's recovering, I think it was 666.
I want to see Shane
took over.
I want to see Shane's asshole in 4K.
I think that was the famous Cabal episode.
No,
Yes,
no, it was What If Matt Keener started CGS?
Yeah. They had
And
a
that
book of the month was like From Hell.
Dave LaManna,
Yep.
Matt, Dana,
Jamie
Scott,
Earth too.
Jamie of Earth 2. They all took over the episode.
And they acted like they had always been doing it.
Right, exactly. Funny. And we always meant to do that with the significant others too, and we never did. Like that would have been a great one too.
Yeah,
like,
that would have been a good one.
Have them just go on and talk. They wouldn't even talk about comics. They would have talked about the life and hell that they have with comics.
Yeah.
Probably.
But the funny part is when we used to get together and play your trivia game a lot, for a while they were all getting pretty good at the answers because they'd heard them so many times.
They begrudgingly listened.
Oh, they sure did. Yeah.
Speaking of comicsology, what year am I in? 2009. Episode 668, we talked to CEO David Steinberger, where he was talking about how Comixology had just dropped a new iPhone, iPad Touch app
Nice.
for buying and reading comics.
I think I had that app.
2009. 2009, episode 672. We called him Cool, I think, in the description. We did an interview with Ethan Van Sciver.
No.
Hey, I, at the time, I think it was a really good interview. I will admit that. He was a good guest.
Who knew? And that was also the first year you guys went to Fan Expo.
That's why we actually interviewed him, because he was going to be at Fan Expo.
Oh, okay. 2010, episode 897, we started coverage on Brightest Day. Episode 907, we did the movie review for Scott Pilgrim, which is interesting because now that is getting a Netflix animated show with the same cast as
Yes.
the voice.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to.
I guess I should watch that movie then.
That movie is really good.
I
Yeah.
never watched it. I never saw it.
No, never saw
Mm-mm.
Scott Pilgrim. Oh,
Nope.
like
Yeah, it's great.
it's not Edgar Wright's best movie, but it's still great. Like it's so fantastic. And I remember I was living in Philly. Somehow got you could sign up for a preview because it was in Philly. Like, it was only in select cities.
Yeah,
and the 6th volume hadn't come out quite yet, and then it eventually came out like right before the movie came out. They were both being done at the same time. That's why it has like alternate endings. And there were people, as we were waiting there in line, people reading that last book before we got in to see it.
really?
Yeah. And I think for me, it was like the purest movie experience because it was a room full of Scott Pilgrim fans watching a movie that was the closest thing to an adaptation that you could get to the actual, series. And it was, so good. And there's a hell of a lot of people in it that we know. That's where I fell in love with Mary Elizabeth Winstead. Now she's in Ahsoka, running around in green paint. So
Yeah.
so cool. Let's see, 2010 as we went to Fan Expo the second time. 2011, episode 1109 was the Captain America movie review, just to put a spin on how far back that was.
Wow.
Episode 1110. You guys interviewed Kirby Crackle, Kyle, and Jim. And that was the debut of their second album, I guess, or Superpowered Love. But it was also the debut of their composed CGS theme, the new CGS theme that was used for a while. So that was 2011.
Jeez.
Fan Expo.
That's crazy.
Fan Expo for the third time. What year am I? 2011. Episode 1117. Bryan makes an announcement 2 years in the making, coming February 2012, the London Super Comic Convention.
I
miss that so much.
Yes.
I didn't have anything for 2012. 2013, you started to do some spotlights on Doctor Who, for anybody who's interested in that. And my last one here, episode 1414, was the Pants moderated panel from Fan Expo featuring David Michelini and Dan Slott.
Yes.
I thought was
nice.
Cool. There you go.
That's a lot of stuff in August.
Yeah, there's some major announcements, major things that happened in there too.
Yeah.
So that was fun. It was fun to go through.
Oh, that first London con. Oh, that was so wild.
I need to do like a series of like behind the scenes.
I don't remember anymore.
Yeah, I know.
Over 11 years ago. Yeah.
Crazy.
It's wild.
But you like just to go from Super Show, in the Reading Expo Center, which is not really an expo center, it's just a warehouse with a gross room on the side that we hosted in.
Yeah.
To the largest convention center in London, one of the major cities of the world. Like it was like such a like, what even is my life? I'm here. Like I'm partly in charge of this thing. Like this is insane. Like, oh, so cool.
You didn't deal with like the getting people hotel rooms or dealing with passports and like all that stuff.
I did a lot of that work.
Oh.
Yeah, Pants, you were in charge of flights for that.
The flights, I got people their flights. And I was just, I mean, I didn't actually meet the people. I just got the information from their publicists or whatever, and like their passports. I got them the flights. First class George Perez. I got him a nice flight, and it was fun. And then of course, meeting him at the con was just amazing. I at that con, I got to be actually at Perez's table, monitoring his line and signatures and sketches. And I'm like, again, like, what am I doing here? How did I get this? And there's a great picture of me pulling up my shirt to show the Comic Geek Speak shirt. He's like doing the pointing thing.
Yeah.
There's a video I think of me just behind it. Of him sketching. I took I got to find those. They're probably on the Facebook or the Twitter at some point or somewhere.
I think I put that picture in the. There was that.
You did.
I believe you did. Yes.
Yeah, there was a magazine called
Was it
Pacesetter.
Yep.
Yeah. Issue number 17, which I think you can still order online by Tony Lawrence is the publisher, and they were doing a final tribute issue for Perez, and they were calling for articles and things like that. And it got down to like the wire, and I finally I was pulling pictures because I knew we had some from Pittsburgh and you had some from London and New York with Adam as Pariah. You know, I just was pulling all that stuff and threw it together, and they made it look pretty and
yes,
got it in there. So that was kind of cool.
You know what we should really do before everybody loses everything is we should assemble some of the like great photos over the years and like print a photo book, like you know, use one of these, you know, MPix or whatever, one of these online services, and upload all the photos and arrange them nicely and get the high res versions if we can, if we know who took the picture or what, you know, find the files or whatever.
Yeah.
And then design a nice book. I'll happily pay $50, you know, or whatever it costs for like my own copy of a hard cover book that captures all these moments, because like already some of these pictures are hard to find, or somebody's got them on a hard drive or a CD somewhere in a pile. I don't even have a CD drive anymore. I don't even know what. You know. So like time's running out on like having access to these things.
Even some of the stuff we did in the last 15 years. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Yeah,
because we do that when we go on vacation. We do a big photo album then, you know, and print a nice hardcover book, and it's worth it, you know.
Yeah.
Because in a year and a half or less, it's the 20-year anniversary of CGS.
Yeah.
Because it's a year and a half to get it together.
There you go.
Well,
that's your deadline. March 7th, 2025.
I got an email the other like a couple months back that, you know, Photo Bucket was like going from being free to pay, or I don't know, or whatever it was doing. Whatever it was doing, my account they were going to shut. And I was like, I didn't even remember that I had a Photo Bucket account, you know. So I'm going in and looking at the picture, and I was like, oh my God, yeah, here's a lot of it was stuff that got posted onto the forum, whether it was like a press release for comics and they had images. Some of it was like I found, again, things that got posted on the forum whenever we did the convention t-shirt contests, and there's a whole bunch of those, and I was like, well, I'm sure they're in like the CGS email somewhere, but I was like, let me save them just in case. But then there was also anything that we made up for Super Show with the creator and their work or their name, like there was all that. So I just started pulling. I saw there was some second chance stuff. I was just pulling these images. Then I was doing a Wayback Machine search on CGS, and I got to the website. Oh, probably, I was looking for the Perez photos.
Right.
Those pictures are still there in the Wayback gallery on the old website, where you can go through, and it's like,
There's Pittsburgh, here's New York, here's Heroes Con, here's Orlando.
Beach trips, Halloween trips, or, you know, at Shane's house. So, and you just cycle through, and it's slow as hell, but there's the images. You can pull all the images, you know. There's
I'll have to look at that. Wow.
You know, Super Show pictures of Brian's kids when they're just little babies. And,
oh my God, yeah.
You know, just in the background, just everybody, like all the people from the forums and the creators and people we know, you know, or like obviously the episode 200's on there, 300's on there, conventions, my hairy ass from mooning somebody somewhere, you know, that's on there, you know. I think Charlito's in the picture.
Charlito, yeah.
You don't know which one's hairier, right? So it's just they're all there on the Wayback Machine. Just go Wayback, Comic Geek Speak, pick the I don't know, like 2008. So that's where the website design is, or 2009, 2010, and they're all there. Yeah,
I'll have to do that.
It's the same thing with Flickr. You can do a Google search for like Comic Geek Speak Flickr, and all of a sudden, like all these photos come up from other people.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah,
but still, it'd be worth it to look through.
Yeah.
Wow.
I used to still have the MySpace page. I used to be able to go onto the MySpace page, and I kept saying, pull these pictures. And then it finally got to the point where I think if I go on now, I can't even access the galleries anymore. So I think I lost all those pictures, so it's a shame. But
Wow. The only other thing I wanted to ask was for Pants. Now,
Yes,
you said
sir.
you were going through the old Perry Mason shows.
Yes, I'm early on right now.
What else are you watching? Old time.
Well, it's sort of segmented. I've got a couple different segments. First up is I have the Hooterville Hour, Petticoat Junction, and Green Acres.
Nice.
And a bunch of other 60s shows like I Dream of Jeannie, Mr. Ed, Dick Van Dyke Show, Donna Reed Show, Alfred Hitchcock Presents. For Star Trek, I'm going chronological order. So right now I'm in January of 1994.
Okay.
I'm in the middle of season 7 of Next Gen and the middle of season 2 of Deep Space Nine. I'm going in order, so eventually I'll get to, at the end of Next Gen, I'll get the 6th movie of Star Trek.
The seventh.
I'm sorry, 7th. Then I'll hit Voyager at some point, so I'm going to go forward with that.
Okay.
Doctor Who, I finished the original run.
Wow.
And I'm rewatching right now. I'm in the middle of Matt Smith's run. Loving the Matt Smith Doctor revisiting again. Amazing. And of course, this year is the 60th anniversary coming up in November, so looking forward to that.
Yep.
I've just started a 1957 watch of certain shows going in order. Richard Diamond, Private Detective, featuring David Jansen, Before the Fugitive.
Nice.
The Danny Thomas Show, Perry Mason, Have Gun Will Travel, and Gunsmoke.
Okay.
Going with that.
Now, a lot of those are old radio shows that I listened to on Sirius XM's Radio Classics.
Mm-hmm. Of course, Hogan's Heroes and the Flintstones.
Oh, love
and
Hogan's
I'm
Heroes.
going through the DC animated shows.
Okay.
So I've just finished, I guess it came out in 97. The Batman Superman crossover with
World's
Joker and
Finest.
Lex Luthor. I just finished that.
That's one of my favorites.
Progressing with that, there's going to be eventually the Justice League Unlimited. So I mean, I got nothing but time to watch TV shows. But again, what's happening right now, we're getting close to the football season, when I love watching the football. So it might cut into my time. I'm actually even toying with the idea of going to a game. I've never been to a regular season game before. But
I was to one.
You were at the Browns game on a Monday night in a box, if I recall correctly, with Coney and the kids.
No. It might have been a Browns game, but we were pretty high up.
Yeah, I know it was Monday night. Remember that.
That's the only one I'll ever go to. It was fine, but I'd rather watch it on TV.
All right, but I've never been before. I've got enough points on my credit card to get a free Eagles ticket.
Nice.
But also the Ravens, I can get down there on the light rail and go see a Ravens game.
Sure.
So again, I'm debating that. We'll see how that goes.
Now, when you talk about Justice League, I can remember Peter at your house, one of the pool parties. We watched the first episode of Justice League cartoon aired with the group of us sitting there, and loved it.
Yeah,
that was a lot of fun.
Wait, so Pants, does that mean did you watch the old Superman, Aquaman hour and all that?
I didn't go that far back because I didn't have 100% access to them. I started with the animated series Batman when that started. Because I've watched, and I was going to go back, but I believe, Shane, like the Super Friends, I think is now no longer on Max. Is that?
You got that right.
Because I was going back and watch the Super Friends.
Yep.
Now I had the DVDs of the Legion of Doom stuff, which 1978.
Yep.
I love that. But I do want to go back at some point to the
72.
the Batman stuff in the 70s and the 60s, for goodness sake. And like you mentioned, the Superman Aquaman hour, where there was, I guess, the Atom and Hawkman and Justice League. I want to watch those. But again, I couldn't find access to them easily. We'll see. But then as far as like current shows, Osaka, I actually watched episode 3 about 3 hours ago from when we're recording this. And I finished Secret Invasion, and I'm also watching Only Murders in the Building.
Oh, that show is
I want to start
good.
that. I didn't.
You
watch
haven't
the first
watched
season
it yet, Jim?
No,
Oh.
no. And I love Steve Martin and Martin Short.
That
And Paul
show
Rudd's
is
in this
so
season.
good.
Yep, that's another one on my list to start.
It's so good. We love. That's another one we watch as a family. Like we just all can't get enough. Like it's just like perfect television. It's so good.
Good. Okay. Cool. That's awesome, Pants.
Yes. In between my time of reading old comics.
Hey, nothing wrong with that at all.
Yep.
Should watch the new My Adventures of Superman. That's a pretty good cartoon.
I'm up to gosh, what did I watch through? It was the Ivo episode. That's
That's
right.
about as far as I've gotten. It's
Maybe one after that. I'm behind like 3 or 4 episodes now.
it's kind of, it's got good energy, but it's aimed at a younger audience than we are. And I'm glad that they can make Superman seem interesting and relevant and fun for younger viewers, but yeah, the whole anime look and feel to it is a little distracting and irritating at times. And some of the characters they're adapting just feel like a lot less than they have been in other media. Like, for example, Livewire is in there from the Superman animated series of the 90s.
Yep.
And the cool thing about her was she was a loudmouthed shock jock.
Yep.
Who was like an on-air radio personality who got ratings by bad-mouthing Superman, and eventually she got electrical powers and was able to take him on directly. In this show, she's just a generic mercenary terrorist person who gains electrical powers and just no personality whatsoever.
Yeah, I will say that character, I was disappointed in her portrayal in the new show. Overall, I like the animation. I am enjoying it very much, but I agree with Adam on that one.
Yeah, I quite enjoyed it. I think it's fun to see. First of all, because we said it before, it's fun to see that they are totally out of like no more Tim, Bruce Timm, Paul Dini verse. Like, give us something totally new. That era's done. I'm glad about that. The only thing I don't necessarily, as you get deeper in, it's like we're bringing in the same things that they brought in other live action TV shows or Young Justice. It's like, oh, not Amanda Waller, like not this, the same things over. It's like, I was hoping they would
do something different.
Just even Livewire. I was like, really? Livewire? Like, I never was a fan of her in the animated series. So it was like, why are we doing this? Of all the Superman villains, you're picking Livewire again?
Gotta start small, I guess.
I don't know. So like,
an intergang is somehow just 3 random teenage thugs.
Yeah,
no,
that's the only thing I don't like. Like, the Superman has 80-some years of history that they could do totally new, like characters we've never seen before, and so that's my thing with that series. Yeah. It's when they just go back to the same well. I'm like, but I quite enjoy it.
Lyra said she started watching the new Harley Quinn show and she likes it.
Oh,
I'm a season behind on that. I watched the first 2.
I've never seen it, but I mean, there's a lot of people who really like it.
It's a lot of fun. It's not my favorite in the world, but I will watch it and I will laugh at it.
I mean, cartoons they're not, like Adam said, they're not aimed for us. The whatever the current crop
this is very adult.
Well, sure, but it still sort of evokes like what's been in the zeitgeist for the last crude humor, wackiness, blah 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 blah.
Yep.
Not everything is for everybody.
No.
All right. Are we good? Are we spent?
Yes.
Yeah. Sounds good. Now everybody can go to bed and put some Vicks on your back, or I don't know, or icy hot.
Icy hot.
Put some icy hot on your back.
Yep.
Oh my God.